I try to avoid the automated guidance, I guess it could be called. And I like the motivation is there because like there's so many stories that I can relate to. And not maybe not for myself, but because of close friends, because of family. And yeah, it just feels like there's a lot more I guess systemic barriers that I can help remove in the guidance role, which motivates me to try to do more. So my name is Derik Chica. I go by he, him. I'm a guidance counselor in Toronto, and I do community advocacy and community activism, and I'm a new parent. Complicated question, I think. Like as an academic concept, I guess, like being called streaming. Maybe around 10 years ago when I first started doing community organizing and activism advocacy sort of thing with my own Latin American community. But I think before that, we were already hearing from parents and students that they were being streamed without calling it streaming. So they were just sort of saying, I want to go to university and they put me in college and I don't know what to do about it, sort of thing, right? And so we would talk to them about how to advocate and what sort of language to use and how their rights, where they can choose what class they go to in grade 9. But my dad was streamed in Toronto way before. Looking back on it, it made me realize basically that his experience being streamed is a reason why I probably was not streamed, because it was very much like he wanted me to go to university and he was making sure that the classes I was taking was going to university. And so it's like I became a teacher initially, at least, specifically for like to support my community, the Latinx community, Latin American community, because there were so many stories of like sort of so many negative stories of experiences in schools, right? So like my whole trajectory, the things I got involved in was to support Latin American students. When we talk about biases, even though I have a lot of privileged identities, I think being racialized, being Latinx, like helps me to understand that there's a lot of privileges I have with other things, which supports me in looking at biases too, right? And I think that biases when you're in a job environment, when you're making a lot of quick decisions and like you have lineup outside your door and you have to get all these students registered by the end of the week or something, right? So that's when a lot of biases can come out. And so that's the racism, the sexism, all the isms. And like I say it more now because like I think it's important to show transformation that like when I first started teaching, even though I wanted to help my Latin American community for a sort of community feel, I was always claiming to be colorblind. Like I had a friend who was a professor who would always have like arguments with me, like, and I was like, I don't see color doesn't matter. And then like, he'd be like talking about my privilege and all that. And then when I started going to schools, that's when I started being like, oh, like it's true. There's a lot of privilege I have with my skin color because there's difference in my experiences and the experiences of all these other people. So it's like but I mean, like that transformation thing I think is important because that's what the whole education system should be built upon, right? Transforming and empathy and all that. Talking to a lot of people who are resistant to de-streaming, so this isn't a theoretical thing. There's a lot of education workers in general who are resistant to it. The biggest thing that people talk about that I find amongst teachers is the class sizes. And that class sizes need to be smaller. And like, I don't disagree with that. I'm like, that totally agree, lower class sizes all the way. I talk about how I see it as two separate issues, that regardless of stream, de-stream, low class sizes would be better. And when it comes to the way we structure our system, I asked them to tell me the difference between a 13-year-old and a 14-year-old. Like it's like in terms of like why the entire system should change between those ages. A lot of it always comes back to, even though applied was not made to be this, a lot of it always comes back to somehow people who go to applied are less able to do things. And then that comes back to, okay, well, that's not what applied was made for, but that's what it's become. It's the truth. That's what that starts to come out, the truth of what these things were supposed to be doing.